Oh, boys and girls, we are on a fine Tuesday evening. And I know this is about our special guest this evening, but I want to start this one right off with one specific shout out, as the kids say. One Mr. Ryan Frost. It's his happy dappy birthday. So Mr. Ryan Frost, I wanted to start this, and I know it's about our special guest. I apologize. But Mr. Frost, we have a relationship. It may be a roller coaster at times, but that's okay. Big shout out to one Mr. Frost. With that said, this is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Mike Falvo. How you doing, my friend? This is awesome.
I'm doing good, man. You know, it's been what? Let me see. Since April. April. Has it been since April? Do you not like me that much that you don't invite me back onto your show? I'm hurt. I'm hurt. Right here. Right here. I'm hurt.
A couple things. I apologize for that. I apologize. A couple things. I'd like to give a little bit of space so we can get to see what's been going on down, from when we last talked and such. I know it's 8 months. I want to say it was April 15th to be exact, my friend.
Yep.
So, and another thing is I had to speak to a few others. I mean, there are a few others in our fine area in the states around where I reside in Connecticut. And then another factor is I did take a break. I did 5 weeks straight, 115 interviews, 25 average a week.
That's a lot.
And I was burnt out, my friend.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I don't blame you, but I'm still holding that against you that it's been since April. Let me put it to you this way: if I had gotten lucky that night, I'd be a new father by now. But no, it didn't happen.
Oh, well, again, my apologies. And Mr. Falvo, you can hold whatever you want over me, because the very first time, and I'm going to start right here, just like I did last time, just for a very specific reason, because my friend, I've only met you once and once only, and it was for a very quick promo. We have never, ever been face-to-face since, and it is one of my... And that's a good thing. Yeah, it is, and I'll be getting to that. And it is one of my all-time favorite promos that I've ever done in any promotion anywhere, and it always sticks out when anybody would ask me, what are some of your fave promos? Mr. Falvo, you come right out, like within the first 1, 2, or 3. I'm telling you, always. And you just hit a mark with me when I first met you. And do you recall? Do you recall that day, sir?
I do. I was about 50 pounds heavier. That's the one thing that, aside from our encounter, because I think, as a matter of fact, I was on Facebook. It was maybe a couple of weeks ago. You had put the video up. And it was like it had popped up in your memories or something, or maybe you just got a wild hair up your what.
I did,
and you found it.
I did,
but I found it, and my face looked like a basketball. I was like, oh, how in the hell? But I've since lost a few pounds, and I feel good about myself.
Hey, congrats, man! That's very cool.
Thank you, sir. But yeah, I do remember that night. First thought in my head was, who the Can I swear on your program?
It's wide open, my friend.
Who the fuck is this guy? Then the second thing that popped into my head was, how many cups of coffee, how many Mountain Dews, or whatever is this guy on, because I want some. I love the energy, but you got a little too close. This was pre-pandemic, so now that we are in the pandemic, I need you to stay 12 feet away. We're going to double the distance.
Yeah. Even then you would have and even then you would like me at least 12 feet. I got that vibe, if you will, because I was all up in your grill.
Yeah, you were. And I felt kind of creeped out, actually.
Well, I did kind of prep you, because there was so many brand new faces that I never knew, but there were so many familiar faces at Survival Championship Wrestling's debut show where I did meet you. Boys and girls, by the way, Mr. Falvo, not only we're going to get into it later, great announcer, but when I met him, he was more of the general manager of Survival Championship Wrestling. That was a fine time. And as the night progressed and we got to the intermission, I said to myself, because I went with somebody that was on the show. I will not announce whose name it was. We don't like to divulge type stuff.
Secrets.
Yeah. But I will tell you, as the show came to the intermission, I said to myself, I got to get a promo with this guy because I run around like a jackass and I get promos with the familiar faces that I know. They're kind of accustomed to it. Well, the new faces, I have to prep you. So I walked up to one Mr. Falvo and I gave him the gist. I'm this, I'm that, and I'm going to do some stupid shit. Are you down? He's like, just hit the record button and let's see where this goes. So that's what we did. An absolute, a burning memory in my brain. It'll never leave, Mr. Falvo. I loved your character. I loved your responses. I loved your interaction. You were very quick, witty with the Mountain Dew line came out. And I don't know, for whatever reason, I blurted out, I do cocaine. And that was like the pinnacle. It was like the nucleus of that whole promo. And I loved every second of it.
Well, I don't know many instances where cocaine is the nucleus for anything outside of the 1980s. But that was a great interview. I had a blast. I loved it. And, that whole night it was actually, it was an afternoon show.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I think back.
It
was just a great show. It was a great vibe. Everybody there was fantastic. Everybody on the card was fantastic. We crowned a new survival champion that afternoon. Very deserving young man, by the way.
Yes.
Garrett Holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Very deserving young man. One of the hardest working guys in the Northeast. Drake Evans and everybody else involved in that show did a fantastic job. And I sincerely cannot wait until we can get back in the ring and get everybody back together again, because everybody's getting a big fat hug from me. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are, how big you are. Y'all are getting a hug from me.
That's awesome.
Some of y'all might even get a kiss, so just be warned.
Oh wow! Well, I got to keep the 12-foot distance, so I don't.
You're not getting anything.
Yeah,
you're
that's
not
what
getting
I figured.
anything. I might get a broomstick and poke you.
I
might.
I'll accept that.
Don't get excited. Don't get your hopes up. We'll see what happens.
Just don't poke me in the pooper. I'd rather you not poke me with a broomstick in the poop, please.
Nah.
Okay.
No.
Anywho, yeah. Let's get away from that. Anywho, now that we're on this subject, and I know we kind of started the same way, but a little bit different on this one. I want to talk about talent because we've talked about, you've been in this game, you've been in other games, being sports announcing and such, because you're a multifaceted announcer. We kind of spoke about that a little bit, and we're going to definitely get into that. But what I'd really like to do is pick your brain a little bit. And I know this is about Mr. Falvo, but
sure.
for a fan, I would love to pick your brain about the talent that has come in the door of specifically Survival Championship Wrestling, because you see it from a different angle, a different eye, if you will. I'm a fan. I stay on that side of the curtain. You're not. You're part of the team, man. So I'm going to rattle off a couple names and just give me some thoughts, if you will, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine, man. Have at it.
Oh, awesome. Because I'd love your perspective on some of the talent that was there was off the chart. All right.
It was. It really was.
So you mentioned the champion, the inaugural champion, one Mr. Garrett Holiday. We could go on and on and on about said champion, and I would love to, but I want to touch him on somebody else right now, because we did give Mr. Holiday some love. There's one guy in your company, or the SCW. His name is Mike Skyros, and he refers to Garrett Holiday as Old Yeehaw. That's his thing. It is what it is. I can't tell him any different. Give us your thoughts on one Mike Skyros, because he's been climbing, my friend.
He is. I've been not just Survival, but other companies as well, and I've seen Mike, work, Immortal Championship Wrestling, NYCW, and the like. And I've even seen him online. I've seen a lot of his matches online. And I was recently down. Well, not recently. I say September. I was down in New Jersey at Synergy Pro Wrestling in New Jersey, and his name kept coming up. And I was even speaking with Cody Jenny. I don't know if you're familiar with Cody. Fantastic commentator, one of the best in the business. His name, him and I went with him down to the show, and Mike Skyrose pretty much dominated the conversation for between here and New Jersey. Just an amazing talent, and I think any promotion that has the opportunity to get Mike Skyrose on their card better do it, because I see him going to the moon and back.
Excellent. Everything what you said is very true. I've never been in the car. He would never let me in. He would never let me in on the ride.
Well, I want to say I was never on a ride with Skyrose.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I never rode with Skyrose, but when I did go to New Jersey, we had these discussions as we do on the road. Who are some of the guys you would love to work with? And I mean, if I were still wrestling, I would love to work with Skyrose.
I just got a little confused. My fault.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Now, that's why I wear this hat. So, like, Mr. Skyrose, I want to move on from him because he scares the shit out of me at times. He came down on me. As they say in wrestling, he gave me heat, and not only heat, like lava heat when he came out. I probably deserve it. It is what it is. But he really gave it to me. I'll tell you that. But he did come up short on the championship tournament. Now yourself, I want to get into your character real quick. The GM, why the GM? Is it because it's it's a position of power, or do you have wrestling training? I know we've spoken about this, but why the GM position itself?
Smarts, my friend, smarts. Okay. You have to have a good knowledge of the industry, a good knowledge of the business, but not just, what goes on backstage. I mean, you have to have a good knowledge of the business part of it. What makes money, what's not going to make money, what's going to, as good old JR used to say, what's going to put an ass every 18 inches. You have to know these things. And when you look at the available list of, I hate to call them performers, but the available list of athletes, you have to say who's going to work with who and who's not, what kind of match would they thrive in, but ultimately what's going to be good for the crowd, what is going to put an ass every 18 inches. And that's where you have guys like Mike Skyrose come in. You have guys like, Drake Evans, obviously. I mean, he's the boss, but, he entrusted that aspect of the company with me, and I took it and ran with it.
Mm-hmm. I feel what you did, it totally got me from when you came out, because we've talked about this on this show. You come out with a purpose. When you come through that curtain, you're supposed to come through with a purpose. You're supposed to tell us, for the most part, when you come through, is, hey, you're either going to hate me or you're going to love me. That's the way wrestling is. I'm the good guy or I'm the bad guy. You came out, you told us who you were without even saying a damn word, pretty much. And then once you started getting on the mic, I'm like, I got to talk to this guy. If he says no to a promo, that's the worst thing that can happen. And that's what I say. I don't care if it's the GM or if it's one of the veteran talents, or if it's a brand new talent. And we're going to get into that right after this one. I'll ask anybody. It's either going to be a yes or a no. So I mean, what could it hurt? So when you did say yes, I was pretty stoked, and the end result was even better than I ever expected. Exactly. Now I want to move on to a younger talent. Mm-hmm. At that time, he was only about a year in the game. I don't know if you guys have any ties with him or not. His name was Lykken.
Conan Lykken.
Yes, big dude. Looked like a Jason Momoa kind of guy, if you will, if I had to kind of compare. Mm-hmm. But really stocky, a little bit shorter. But man, he was doing some cool stuff.
I'll tell you what.
I don't know anything about the guy.
He is. What's the term? I don't want to say he's. There's the term. It's like diamond in the rough, but he's a diamond in the rough. I mean, he is a kid who worked hard. He trained at Seth Rollins' school in Iowa.
Okay.
So, he's trained with the best. And he came out and he gave everything he had. And the kid is a natural athlete, football player, basketball player. I mean, he is, I want to say maybe 6'1", 6'2" ish. Two, I'm guessing 230, 235, and he does a standing backflip. I've seen him do it. It's
right in front of my eyes, standing right there. It was
Mhm.
amazing.
Mhm. He's an amazing athlete. He is one guy that I think will go far in this business. It's not a matter of he could go far, he will go far. He just needs he needs the opportunity. And he's and the he's an amazing talent. He just needs to break out. I think that's what he's waiting for. He's like a horse coming around the bend. Once you hit that straightaway, I think he's almost at that straightaway. And once he does hit that straightaway, it's another guy straight to the moon.
Matt, I got to give all of your words are very spot on because very athletic for a guy his size. That was really cool stuff he was doing. And you don't have to be, as they say, the flippy doos, the whatever. You don't have to be
He
that guy to make yourself look athletic as a bigger guy.
And you know what? He gives a good combination of both. He's a very agile wrestler for somebody his size. He is. I mean, he's the kind of guy that will punch you in the mouth and then you know do a standing back.
Yeah.
And then just do a standing backflip on your head. I mean, that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah,
He'll finesse you, but in the
absolutely.
same sense, he'll punch you right in the mouth if he has to.
Hmm. Now, I try to follow as many as I can of the fine talent, and I can't keep up with all of them. I don't. I probably only know just a tiny pinch
Mm-hmm.
of really who is out there. And I ask you about Conan Lykken because he did catch my eye, and he was really cool. But a lot of the wrestlers right now, the talent, men and women, are very quiet, kind of doing their real life stuff,
Yep.
keeping off of the media or whatever. I have to say personally, and I haven't looked them up or nothing, but I used to see his stuff. Do you know if Mr. Conan Lykken is still active or what's going on with him?
He is. He is. The last I knew, he was back in Iowa. He's back
Okay.
training. He's back in the ring. Unfortunately, here in New York, we haven't been able to have shows. Obviously because of the pandemic and so on. Um, but him and I chat every now and again. He is back in Iowa. He's working hard. He's training. He's been doing some work with GCW, Game Changer Wrestling.
Oh.
That is Joey Janela's company. One of the bigger independent promotions. I would say one of the biggest. He's
Mm-hmm.
been doing a little bit of work with them, behind the scenes work, learning a little bit more of the business, which I highly encourage anybody who steps in the ring. Don't just learn what goes on within the four ropes. Learn what goes on backstage. Learn as much as you can about this industry. Um, but yeah, he's doing what he does best, and that is preparing for a great career in this business.
That is fantastic to hear. I am so glad because I only met him that one time, and I haven't. I'm again. His face page was a little active, but then it kind of
Mm-hmm.
stopped. So, again, some are just quiet, some are kind of falling off, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe hanging it up and being like, you know what, I've had enough. I need to carry on with real life. There are a few that have dropped off, but there's for the vast majority, all of the boys and girls are still on board and just waiting for things to really perk up. Um,
Yep.
excuse me. I want to talk about a couple more talents in
Sure.
SCW, and then we're going to move on. I want to focus on the women's match that was there. We had kind of the same but different, if you will. We had one Evie De La Rosa. Love her out of Tessa Strength Wrestling. That's where I know her from.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen her often over there. And then you guys paired her against courageous Christina Marie, who has made a splash pretty much everywhere, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us however you want about both of them or the match give us the fans that, and the reason why I ask is because the fans that don't know these names, I want them to get to learn more and maybe look them up and check out their stuff. So give us either a little bit of both or about their match.
Well, the match itself, I mean, in my opinion, it was one of the best matches of the night. Christina Marie, if you've never seen her wrestle, she's a powerhouse in the ring, and even you see, if you follow her on social media, you notice she does a lot of work in the weight room, a lot of strength, powerlifting. So she's a powerhouse in and out of the ring. She is one of my favorite wrestlers in the Northeast. Every chance I get to see her on a show and she's on a match, I love watching her matches. She's extremely athletic. She's extremely strong. That is one woman I would not want to tangle with. But she's a great person all around. If you, I'm sure you've had the chance to chat with her and meet her and everything. She's just a great person all around. But her athletic ability is through the roof, off the charts. And she's held championships in a number of companies outside of Survival. So that's a testament to her. That's a testament to her ability.
We had her on Stirring the Pot, and I drank apple cinnamon moonshine with her.
Ooh.
I got all tanked interviewing Christina Marie. It was amazing.
You get drunk with her, but not me. I am offended. I'm offended.
I got an empty mason jar. I'm sorry. I did not mean to interrupt, but I did want to throw that a little bit in.
I'm offended, Don.
I'm sorry.
Disappointed. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed.
Oh, that's even worse.
And now, moving on to Evie, the other half of that match. I mean, it was both women put on one hell of a match. I've seen some of Evie's work in Test of Strength. That was, I think, I want to say that match is the one and only time that I've seen her in person. But I've seen a lot of her work on Test of Strength. And when Drake said to me, he said, this is who we have for the women's match. What do you think? I said, I don't know. This is going to be a fight. I mean, really, that's because you look at those two and they're very similar in size and so on. And it's just like, I couldn't, he asked me flat out, he's like, who do you like in this match? I said, I don't know. I said, I'm just going to set up a chair and watch, to be honest with you, because that's the kind of match it was.
Yeah.
And it was a great match.
Very well spoken about that match because, sir, I agree with and I'm not being a yes man, but you're speaking the truth on the talent and stuff right now, because I follow both. I love both to pieces. Evie, I asked Evie because my daughter's stepdaughter, she adores Evie to pieces, and she wasn't feeling so good, and it's been a while since we got to go to Test of Strength. So I asked Evie on the side, would you mind giving me, maybe a little cameo type thing for Celine, my daughter's stepdaughter who adores you? And I go, what would it cost? And I'm not putting out her stuff, but I want to say, she goes, for Celine, absolutely nothing. I would adore to do it. She gave her about a 1.5-minute video, sent it to me, and I'm telling you that made everything for Celine. She just loves the Test of Strength because she's gone a bunch of times. And that video from Celine was just the ultimate thing for her. She really, really loved it. So I love both of those women because they're that way outside the ring.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Very. Oh, go ahead, sir.
No, I was going to say, the many times that I've worked with Christina Maria, I don't think, every time she comes into the venue, big smile on her face, shaking hands, giving hugs and everything. And, she's one of my favorites. I'm not going to lie. She is one of my favorites.
It's funny you say that because specifically at SCW, I was there early before it actually, things were still getting set up. And I won't get, never mind. So things were getting set up and some people were filing it. And then here comes Christina Marie walking through the door. And I'm telling you, man, seeing Christina Marie live in ring is one thing, but when she walks through the door, and I'm a fan 1,000%, and I just get this privilege sometimes to kind of cross that line, if you will.
Sure.
Absolutely honored and privileged to have that in my life. But here comes Christina Marie. This is a different, holy shit, it's Christina Marie, kind of thing. Almost a starstruck, a fandom kind of thing when she walks through, and I'm like, love me some Christina Marie. So she's going around just like you're saying. And that's the reason why I'm saying it. She's shaking the hands. She's making those connections, and she's keeping those connections, doing the hugs and stuff and saying, what's up?
Mm-hmm.
So we see each other. We give a wave or whatever because we've seen each other at many a show. So about 15 minutes later, she walks up to me and she goes, hey, we weren't able to connect earlier, and gives me a big old hug. And I was just floored, my friend. I was just like, wow. Christina Marie's coming up to me like we're hanging out with the boys, if you will. And she just comes up to me like, I was just like, wow, this is just some really, really cool and privilege. I use the word privilege because, my friend, that's a luxury right there. I love having that connection with you men and women. I really do.
And that's when she whispered in your ear, don't forget about the restraining order, Don.
Well, no, I slipped her some cash. So
Oh, right.
yeah. So that took care of that. But yeah, you men and women giving your time and the fun that you give us, the fans, it's just amazing.
And you know what? And without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And that's why I started as a fan, as I think just about anybody involved with this business does, unless your last name is like Orton or Flair, or you're born into this business. But
right.
any one of us, we all start off as a fan, and we say, this is what I want to do. You don't decide to make this a career, or you don't decide to get involved with this if you look this and you're like, that sucks, I want to do that. No, you just don't. You know what I mean?
The passion you can tell from the presentation in the ring. And I know we're focusing on SCW because that's the only place that I've met you, and that's kind of what we know together. But the talent and the presentation that the wrestlers gave us, men, woman, ring crew, manager, ring announcer, GM, and no matter any part of it, I loved it, and I cannot wait. I really have been so stoked to get to that second SCW show, and I know it's supposed to happen, but obviously, here we are.
The Walking Dead started, and now we're in the middle of it. So
exactly.
And I hate to classify it like that, but that's that's
it kind of. It's not a bad analogy. We could talk wrestling all effing night. That's a gimme.
Yep.
I want to touch upon. I want to kind of focus on your announcing because not only do you announce, for wrestling, for sporting games or events rather, MMA, if I'm not mistaken, you try to get your hands on whatever you can when it comes to being an in-ring announcer or whatever the case may be.
Sure.
Talk to us about that part right there of Mr. Falvo's life.
That is something that I've been doing ever since I was a sophomore in high school, and it all started as a joke, believe it or not. I was at a girls, I want to say it was like a girls' junior varsity basketball game with a friend of mine. And it was just a complete fluke thing. Like his girlfriend was playing or something. We went. It was one of those games that was on like a Thursday afternoon at 3:00. So we showed up, and there was maybe 10 people in the audience, and the guidance counselor gets on the microphone. He says, hey, who wants to announce the game? Our normal announcer can't make it. So my buddy Rob looks at me, points to me, and says, Falvo will do it. And I've got my mouth full of popcorn from the game, and I'm like, I'll do what now? So he brought me down, showed me how to do everything, and I announced my first game. And, as they say, the rest is history. It was just something that I did. It started off as fun. I've announced basketball games in, New York, Texas, Japan, South Korea on 2 separate occasions. Well, more than 2 separate occasions. South Korea, England, Portugal. That was fun. I've announced all over the world. And then that's just basketball.
Are these collegiate? Where are we at here on the level?
The when I was overseas was mostly in the military. It would be like Unit A plays Unit B.
Okay,
It was like an intramural
I got you.
league, but still, I had a microphone in my hand. I had
Yeah,
lineups, and I tried to make it sound as professional as possible.
you're doing your
Um,
job.
yeah, exactly. But
Hmm.
I announced high school basketball. I've announced D3 NCAA, D1 NCAA. I announced here at U Albany, right down the road.
Okay.
I do Albany Patroons basketball. I have a championship with the Albany Patroons. I have a
Oh wow.
championship with the Albany Empire. I have, my championship ring is sitting right over there on my desk right now. And the arena football was just an intense experience. Sitting in the Times Union Center in front of 13,000 people, it's insane.
Mhm.
Um, I've announced mixed martial arts on a number of occasions. I have 8 pay-per-view appearances.
Oh wow.
It's craziness. But and it's a lot of people think that I just get in the ring and I just blurt out a bunch of names and I just do this and I yell and scream. No. Anybody that follows me on social media knows that I take this very seriously. I don't just go in there with, a gimmick to try to get over. I go in there and I try to give every match or every event that I call a big event feel.
Hmm.
Ultimately, that is my job. Every announcer has their own style. You look at a guy like Larry Legend,
Right.
who is one of the top announcers who is one of, if not the top announcer on the independent circuit, and he's fantastic. Guys like Larry Legend, Abel J, who does GCW, fantastic announcer. They have
Mr.
their own style.
Another local name I'd like to toss in there is one Mr. Shane Fair does a fine job, my friend.
Shane Fair is fantastic. Shane is one of my favorites. I love Shane. Matt DeCourt does a great job at Paradise Alley, Test of Strength.
Love Matt DeCourt. Yes.
Matt is, I think he's on his way.
Yes.
Matt's a fantastic young announcer. He's got a very bright future ahead of him. Even guys, you go even down into New Jersey, you get guys like David Adams. David Adams does a great job. I don't know if you've ever heard David.
Now when it gets to the Jersey area, I've been starting to learn more names as an in ring, but the announcers and referees and such, I haven't caught up yet because that's what I always try to do. It's kind of odd. I want to know what the referee's name is. I want to know what the ring announcer's name is. I want to know what the
Yeah.
manager's names are. I want to know everybody's name.
You have David Adams. Ryan Peterson always does a great job wherever he goes.
Yeah,
Ryan
he's been on
Peterson's a
here.
fantastic
Yeah.
guy. But I like to say it's a science because whenever I announce a fight, whether it's mixed martial arts, boxing, wrestling, whatever, I'm preparing days in advance.
Right.
I make sure every show that I go to, I make sure that the only thing I have to do when I walk through the door is A, shake the promoter's hand, B, shake everybody else's hand. You always shake the promoter's hand first. Find the promoter, shake his hand, shake the talent's hand, the boys and the girls that are on the show, shake the hands of the fans if you get the opportunity before the show. Then the only thing you have to do is walk up to the talent, hold up your card and say, is this all correct? And then you're done. And I do the same thing, boxing, mixed martial arts, basketball, football, what have you.
Absolutely. Boys and girls, that's the way to do it. Don't do it the way I do it. The way I do it is this. Don't look up shit, hit the record button, and hope for the effing best. Don't do that. When it comes to what Mr. Falvo's doing, take it seriously as any part of and I know you used the word performer earlier, but the performance from all aspects of what's going on, maybe a sporting event of any kind, it's still all one big kind of performance, and you all got to get together and do your part. So yeah, take it seriously, like Mr. Falvo. Don't do it like me.
I'll tell you one thing. The one thing that I do whenever I go to a show, whether it's independent, WWE or what have you, I always look at the ring announcer. The reason why, because 9 times out of 10, outside of a referee, the ring announcer is the first person you will see in the ring at the beginning of a show.
And you're going to see it multiple times.
Exactly. And the ring announcer, you know, you always hear people say, well, it's the first match that always sets the pace of the show. No. The ring announcer, as soon as he starts that show, is already setting the pace for the show. Is already setting a pace for the show. So, you know, you got to make sure you have that energy. You got to make sure you're ready.
Right.
But also something that I have always prided myself on is you have to look the part.
Very professional.
Look good, look professional. You know, that's why guys like, I'm going to bring him up again, guys like Larry Legend. That's why, I mean, Larry is always styling. Always. I haven't seen one show where I haven't looked and said, he looks like he belongs there.
Mm-hmm.
And he does.
I just wanted to find names, talents that you've just mentioned. I want to pick Mr. DeCourt out real quick. There was a show that we were both attending. He was being the ring announcer. Mm-hmm. And it was an outdoor show. It was a little bit different than what he was used to. And he goes, I'm not sure how I should dress for this one. Should I just be casual and come out, or should I? You're Matt fucking DeCourt. You're dapper, Matt fucking DeCourt. You come out, you do the thing. You put on that bow tie. You look exactly like you usually do, because I love when you come out looking like that. I don't want to see you any different now, because I'm used to seeing that dapperness, the professionalism of what you are presenting to us in that ring. Mm-hmm. And he wore a suit, and he thanked me later. He goes, that was excellent advice. Thank you, because it just felt right. And I go, that's because that's the way you are. You know, you're not going to half-ass it just because it's outside. You know, that's why you were questioning it. Like, should I or shouldn't I? No, you shouldn't. And you know you shouldn't, but you were still like on that fence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah. I love me some Mr. DeCourt. And I want to use him as. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you know, I always tell. I had a young ring announcer tell me, he's like, you know, I'm going to do the show. I don't know what I should do. I don't know how I should dress. And I told him, I said, treat it like it's Vegas.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I said, exactly what I said. You treat every show like it's Vegas, like you're doing a main event boxing event in Vegas. You know, not saying go out and run it, you know, get a tux and do all that, but, you know, look professional. Mm-hmm. That's my personal, you know, unless the promoter walks up to me and says, you know, we're doing a luau theme, wear a Hawaiian shirt, and I'm like, I'm still wearing a shirt and tie.
Sorry. And I'm going to use one Shane Fair as an example of what you're speaking of. The jackets that my man presents are the most unique jackets. And not only that, he really steps up his game, and he does this thing called the white glove treatment. And he slips them bad boys on, and man, that dude is slick.
I had a conversation with him once upon a time, and we were talking about exactly that. And I told him, I said, you know, every time I see a video of yours, I think of Putting on the Ritz by Taco. It's got the white gloves and the spats, and I feel like I'm in a 1920s cotton club or something, or 1920s jazz club.
Oh, goodness. Now, I'm going to use Mr. DeCourt as an example real quick again, because he said when I interviewed him that he pays homage with his in-ring work by one Bruce Buffer. Mm-hmm. Who do you look after when you were kind of molding your groove as an announcer?
When I first started, you know, like I said, I was a sophomore in high school, so Bruce Buffer was around, but he wasn't really Bruce Buffer yet. He was still kind of, you know, he was known as the UFC guy. He wasn't Bruce Buffer. So you know, I always looked towards his brother Michael. You know, a lot of times. Sorry, my daughter snuck in when you weren't looking.
No. Pa Jose, real quick. I think I might have misspoken. Bruce Buffer was the old elder, and then Michael Buffer was the younger, correct?
Nope, opposite. Other way around. Michael is the
then
older, Bruce Buffer is the younger. They're half brothers.
oh, okay. So the one that
Um,
retired that doesn't do it anymore, let's get ready to rumble. That is Bruce or Michael?
that's Michael.
Okay,
That's
so
Michael
okay,
Buffer. Bruce
then I was
is
correct.
yeah. Bruce is
Okay.
it's time in
Yes.
UFC. I don't
Yes.
want to do it because he'll sue me. But I always looked up to Michael Buffer when I first started getting out, and then when I started doing more basketball, and that started really becoming my niche. I started looking towards guys that did the NBA, guys,
Okay.
when I was in high school, the Chicago Bulls were the number one team in the league. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant. So I always watched their entrances. The New York Knicks, I watched their entrances. I watched, the bigger teams, of course, the Lakers and the Celtics. But when it comes to wrestling, it's always been Howard Finkel. Howard was always he was always the face of ring announcing.
Mm.
And then as time went on, you get different ring announcers. But I've taken a different path. I've always looked more at boxing ring announcing.
Okay.
Than pro wrestling and mixed martial arts. You have guys, gentleman that I'm friends with. His name is Mark Fredo. He's on ESPN quite a bit. He does Fight Night Live on Facebook.
Okay.
Guys like Mark Fredo, Jimmy Lennon Jr. I'm trying to think of who else. His father, Jimmy Lennon Sr., classic boxing announcers. I try to model myself after that. More of a classic style. And
Nice.
not so much over the top. I mean, that may be somebody else's style. That's not my style. My style is I've always viewed my job as I'm there to put them over.
Okay.
I'm not there to put myself over. I'm not there to I'm not there to put the spotlight on me. I'm there to put the spotlight on them.
Mm-hmm.
The wrestlers, the fighters, the players. But I'll add my own little flair in there if I have to, and so on and such.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I want. I know it's not the announcing portion of it, but I want to use this latest fight with Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. Post event, I got one of the biggest tickles. I laughed and laughed for probably a fucking week. I tell you, Jim Gray is talking about Roy Jones coming back. And maybe people were afraid. Were you ready or something along those lines? Mike Tyson takes this right over and says, I haven't been in the ring for 15 fucking years, and you're asking him? Is he okay? What about me? Mr. Falvo, I swear I laughed at that shit for like a week because on the side, as Mike is talking, Roy Jones Jr. is laughing and shaking his head, and there's Jim Gray with that microphone, and I was absolutely losing my shit.
And the funniest thing was, I think even in that same interview, Mike Tyson said, like you said, he's like, I haven't been in the ring for 15 years, and everybody's worried about him, not me. But did you see Tyson though?
Yes, I did, my friend.
Oh, he's what, mid-50s now, early to mid-50s now.
Yes.
Still, that dude looks like he could punch me in the next week.
Okay, and not to review the fight. Because I'm not that guy that likes to be opinionated on these things because I would never do it in a million effing years. You see my build.
What build?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And I run my mouth way too much. But that fight, it just seemed that Tyson really wanted to come to fight, where Roy Jones Jr. was like, hey, you hit me. Stop hitting me, and would grab him. Way too much for my liking, anywho, as a fan. Did you find that it was like that, or was it just me?
No, definitely. See, the thing about Mike Tyson is, I grew up watching Tyson with my father. My father was a huge boxing fan. You could see it in Tyson's face. He wanted to destroy Roy. He wanted to be let loose. And, it wasn't that kind of fight. It was an exhibition fight. And, the thing is, everybody was complaining and everything. I knew what to expect. Right. I said I didn't get the fight, unfortunately. I really wish I had, because from what I had seen it looked really cool. But I said to a lot of my friends, I said, guys, it's not going to be what you would think it's going to be. It's going to be, two guys are going to get in there. They're going to tangle up a little bit. They may dance around a bit. You'll see some flurries here and there, but it's not going to be a knockdown drag. I said this fight is going to go the distance, and it will probably be a draw. And sure enough, it was a draw. It was good for what it was.
Right.
But you could see it in Tyson's face, man. He wanted to put Jones Jr. through the roof. You could just see it in his eye. And I honestly think that Tyson could get in the ring and hold his own against a lot of fighters today. Not saying he'd go in and, run away with it, but I think he could get in there and hold his own.
I'm going to kind of jump back to the topic of you don't try to take a spotlight on yourself. You don't want to put a spotlight on yourself because you're there to present the men and women that are coming out as athletes.
Right.
I want to stay on this fight and use that topic. There was as much talk about the fight that there was about Snoop Dogg's commentary. Now, we all effing loved his commentary. I will tell you, that was great. Some beautiful material. And everybody's like, he needs to be a commentary for boxing forever. But here we are on this topic. Mm-hmm. It almost was talked about the same, my friend, to be honest with you. There was a lot of chatter of both. And I don't want to say it was equal, but there was quite a bit of chatter and a lot of tickles over Snoop Dogg's commentary. Do you feel that took away from what they were presenting, or do you feel that it added to that specific package?
I thought it was great. I thought it was perfect. It was an exhibition fight. I mean, had this been, for example, Wilder and Fury, you would not see Snoop Dogg anywhere near the commentary table. I thought Snoop Dogg's commentary was perfect. It was a perfect addition to, I think the fight was what was entertainment. And I hate to say that because I know those guys worked hard. Right. But had it been a championship fight, had it been a big main event fight, I'm talking, 1991, 92 Las Vegas, when they had 35, 40,000 people selling out an arena, you wouldn't see Snoop Dogg at the commentary table. You wouldn't.
Because of that.
I thought, what's that?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I thought it was perfect. I thought it fit in beautifully,
Right. And I was going to say, because it takes away from that element, if you will, of the fight.
Yeah.
You're there for the fight. But I think I brought it to the table because I felt that it was a good mesh because, like you're saying, it was I know boxing is boxing. It's not fake, and I get that. It's not choreographed. I get that. Or whatever you want to call, whatever the fuck you want to call wrestling. And I get that it's boxing. And it was two older guys that have been in the game at the top of the pinnacle, both of them. But I really do feel that Snoop Dogg was absolutely perfect. Not only that, but Sugar Ray's stuff in there was really, really fun too. I found him a really good element for all of that.
Oh yeah.
I know we kind of talked about that a little more length than I wanted to, but that was some fun stuff. It was interesting, and I know that, hey, you're a boxing guy. I know you're a boxing guy. I want to ask you one question about the MMA.
Yeah.
When you're announcing in the MMA, where are we talking? Because you said you've done pay-per-views. Are we talking, on the Bellator UFC, or are we talking like Legacy and that kind of stuff?
No, we're talking Cage Wars up here in Schenectady. Well, when I say it's on pay-per-view, I'm talking like Fight TV, but that's not, not taking away from the talent that steps in the cage at all. Because I'll tell you what, I know. Oh yeah. Yeah. I know a lot of these guys and girls that step into the cage, very good friends with a lot of them, and they train extremely hard. For a lot of these guys and girls, this is what they do. They work and they train to get in the cage and fight. And they take it very seriously. Mm-hmm. But no, it's local. It's Cage Wars here in Schenectady. I have had offers to go work other promotions within New York State and outside of New York State. They never panned out for one reason or another, but I have had the offers. I came that close to Bellator.
Ooh.
Within literally within a phone call.
Wow.
But again, it didn't pan out, unfortunately. But I'm still working there. Ultimately the goal is, I've always, people have always asked me, what is your goal when it comes to announcing? And I always tell them my goal is Las Vegas.
Okay.
My goal is big fight, Las Vegas, main event, or when it comes to wrestling is anybody that gets in this business, my goal, main event, WrestleMania. I mean, really, there's you don't get any higher. I mean, even if you're not a wrestler, if you're a referee, if you're an announcer, main event WrestleMania.
Can I be picky about one of their announcers since I am speaking to an announcer right here?
Of course, I love being.
I believe his name is Tony Schimmel. Am I correct on that?
Tony Schimmel.
Schimmel. He does, and ever since back in the day, when he does this damn rated R super, that fucking pisses me off so bad. It irks me. I don't know why or what it is. And he's done it with some of the talent's names throughout the years. I don't know if he did it once and Vince said that was good shit, or if it just happened and I don't know. That thing really irks me, my man.
He did it once, and Edge loved it.
Ugh.
And he went to Tony. I mean, obviously nothing happens without Vince knowing. But he went to Tony and he's like, dude, introduce me like that every chance you get. Edge loved it. It really popped Edge. And I personally, I love it. I think it's great. I think it's just something that adds to the presentation. Like, did you know he announced, what was it? The WrestleMania with Limp Bizkit where they performed, was it X7?
You don't want to ask this guy. I can't remember.
Lucky if you can. I was gonna say, you're lucky you remember what you had for breakfast.
I don't.
Tony Schimmel announced, because they had performed the Undertaker's theme when they were doing Rollin' for the Undertaker.
Oh yeah.
Or when he was the biker taker, or whatever you want to call him. So he gets on the microphone. He says, "And now the WWE's favorite band, Limp Bizkit," and they start playing. Well, the story behind that is, all day long, Fred Durst and Limp Bizkit had been making ridiculous demands to the WWE, just complete bullshit demands. So, and they were really irritating folks like Vince and the higher ups within the company. And you can't fire the band the day of. So that was just one way WWE kind of poked the bear with Limp Bizkit, as it were.
Wow. Fun fact, boys and girls, from one Mr. Mike Falvo. Thank you for sharing.
Take notes. Yeah. There will be a quiz.
I won't remember, but others. There's going to be a quiz later.
At least you're honest, and I appreciate that, Don. I really do.
Yeah, because whoever I'm sitting next to,
you're that guy, huh?
ABC. I'll just ABC right down the line. Yeah,
ABCADAB. Abacadab.
By the time you look at my bubble test, it's just like a bunch of stairs. That's all it looks like. Like you can take a line, it just looks like a set of stairs. Now, are you still doing all of these things, the sporting events, MMA? And I know we're at a weird time. I know we're at a very weird time. But are you still active in the announcing form of your life right now?
I am as active as I can be. Like you said, we're still in the pandemic, so unfortunately, there's really not that many sporting events happening here in New York. Albany has a couple of events coming up that I'm lined up to do. Fingers crossed. A lot of their season so far has been on the road because there have been outbreaks on campus and so on. But I've been as active as I can be. I mean, I've got a little microphone sitting right over here that I can record audio on, just ready and waiting.
Awesome.
I'm as active as I can be. The arena football is coming back to Albany, so hopefully I'll be involved with that once again this coming April. Albany Patroons basketball is coming back up. And really, I'm available even if you're in New Jersey, Connecticut, or what have you, and you have an event coming up. Shoot me an email. Give me a phone call. I'm here and I'm available. I can get down there if you need me to. I'm a phone call away.
Well, I know my reach is very small, but whatever reach I do have, what I'm gonna do is go stalk your face page, and I'm
Please
gonna
do.
take I know you have a thing, and it's got your info and
Yeah,
what you're trying to get out there. I'm gonna go snatch that from you, and I'm gonna go
please
put
do.
it on my page. Yes, we're gonna share that. We like to spread the love and support our fine talent. That's what we do here.
I appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely. That's what we do. I didn't mean to use the word stalk. Don't hold that against me.
That's,
Um,
that's all right. You come by my house, we're going to have a problem.
yeah. No, that's a different story. Absolutely. Yes. Now we've talked some wrestling.
Hmm.
We've talked uh, your announcing career. Well, not your career, but we've talked announcing. Um, when you first announced, I wanted to ask you this before. When you first did that announcing, did it keep you going because you found this little adrenaline rush while you're doing this, or what got you to keep motivated to want to to announce?
Well, first it was fun. I genuinely had fun doing it.
Okay.
The first game that I did, like I said, there was only like maybe 10 or 15 people there. But afterward, a couple of days later, the guidance counselor found me and he goes, hey, the coaches were really impressed with how you did the game. Do you want to do another one? Yeah, sure, why not? So I did another one, and then another one, another one, and it kind of became, everybody has their thing. It kind of became my thing. I was the announcer guy, and I
Nice.
just embraced it.
Awesome.
You know,
That's
and it
very good.
wasn't until a few years ago, 2017, I think it was, when I said to myself, I really want to take this head on. I really want to pursue this as, if I can make a career out of it, fantastic. If I can't, at least I'll have some fun on the side.
Hmm. And by doing multifaceted things as the sports event, MMA, wrestling, and
Hmm.
such, you get to meet so many different people at the same token.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I've met, let's see, mixed martial arts. I've met. I don't know if the name King Mo is familiar.
I
Mo,
know.
yep, King Mo. I've had the chance to work with King Mo, great guy. I've had the chance to meet a number of mixed martial arts promoters. I've met, a lot of ex NBA players through working with the Albany Patroons. Obviously professional wrestling. I've met folks like Jake Roberts, Shane Douglas, Jake Hager, folks like that. But when you just look at all the different people that you meet and the different experiences, I mean, these are things you can tell your kids. It's what I talk to my daughter every time we drive by the Times Union Center. I say, you see that building right there? Daddy yells in that building.
I love that. That's what we're naming this episode. Uh, Daddy yells in that building. That's what we're going to name this episode. Um, now, there's a couple things, and we are at about 58 minutes.
Yeah.
This is number dose with
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Falvo, boys and girls. I really thought he was only going to last about 7 minutes and then hang up on us. So I really appreciate
I
this.
was gonna say something, but it's a family program.
That's okay. I want to get a couple things out of you before I
Sure.
let you go, because there's still more, and I know there's going to be some. We all use this damn word normalize. Who the fuck knows what's going to be like in another 2 months, 3 months, 4 months? I just hope some stupid wrestling. I didn't mean to call wrestling stupid, but you know what I mean. This
Yeah, I
week's
hear you.
wrestling will come back and all of that good stuff. So there's plenty more I still have to ask you. So maybe down the
Sure.
road we can get numero trace with Mr. Falvo.
Part 3.
Uh, so the couple things I do want to get out of you
Sure.
is first, you have mentioned right off the top of this, you've lost 50 pounds, looking fantastic.
Thank you.
What started this? Was it a health thing? Are you okay? Or was it you saw something and you're like, I need to do something? What are we talking here?
It was a lot of all of it, really. the health aspect, obviously. But really, a lot of people don't know this. My dad passed away on his 46th birthday. Third heart attack. He was extremely out of shape. And that happened when I was 19 years old.
Oh.
So he missed out on a lot of important moments in my life. He passed away halfway through my senior year of high school, so he never even got to see me graduate high school. He never got to see me when I left for the military. He never got to see me graduate basic training or come home from the military. He never met his granddaughter, my daughter. And I always said to myself, I don't want to end up like that. I want to be there for those moments. I want to be there to see my daughter graduate high school, get married, and be a grandfather. And there was a period there when I kind of said to myself, oh, well, I'll be fine. I'll be okay. And then I had a real wake-up call with my brothers and sisters. And, they pulled me aside and they said, we're really concerned. We're really scared that you are not going to make it to the new year. And at that point, I decided it was time to do something. It was time to change, get myself back into shape, whatever shape that I could, and just really work hard to try to improve myself. And I feel like I've done that.
Mm-hmm. I do stalk your face. I mean, I do follow your face page. So I noticed.
Away, baby.
I do notice that you've been putting up, the gym pics, the traditional gym pics, if you will, now and then. So I see you're continuing this process.
Mm-hmm.
Is the gym part of your life now, or is there a
Yes.
goal? So it's a continuing process.
It is a continuing process. You never, after a while, if, at first you say to yourself, oh man, I've got to get up and go to the gym. I've got to do this. Oh man, I really don't want to do it. But then after a while, I kind of started saying to myself, I would purposely take some time off from the gym. You got to take time off, recuperate, let your body heal up a little bit. But I was finding myself getting itchy. I'm like, I feel like I should be at the gym today, and I would end up going to the gym anyway. If you do it enough and you go in there with the right mindset, it becomes a part of you. And I've taken a little bit of time off for the holidays, and it's been driving me nuts. I need to get back to the gym. So it definitely becomes a party, and and a lot of the guys in the wrestling industry will tell you that.
That has been kind of not really a theme, but it's definitely been mentioned more than once on this show. Is my body feels different, like
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like now it's almost being abused because I'm not abusing it. It's kind of weird.
It's almost like. It's almost like in some cases you don't know what to do with yourself. Like they say, it feels weird because you're not hitting the ropes, hitting the turnbuckles, taking those bumps. You're not, and your body's like, it's going to be weird because every now and again, when I get to a show, I still bring my gear with me. I always have my wrestling gear with me. Sometimes I'll throw on the boots. I'll get in the ring. I'll run the ropes. I'll drop a few bumps. I'll take a bump and I'll see stars, and my body will sit there and say, yeah, you can't do that anymore, buddy. Sorry. And then I say, shut up. I'm in control. And I do another bump. And then I say, okay, I'm done. But, they're right. It's sometimes you just don't know how to feel. You don't know what to do with yourself.
I am finding, though, on the flip side of that, some of these boys and girls, they really needed this downtime for their bodies to really, really heal in some instances.
Yep. It's a blessing and a curse. I guess you can look at it that way.
Absolutely. This has been an absolute fantastic sit down with one Mike Falvo. And I know that you're not a trained monkey, and I don't want to treat you as such.
No.
But before we go, is there any way possible. There was an instance where, and I know we don't have another person here or whatever, but I got Mr. Matt DeCourt to announce Donovan Dwyer's mom. We call her Camera Lady.
Camera Lady.
To announce Donovan's mom with my stats coming down to the ring, and it was effing hilarious. We all got a tickle out of it. And I know this isn't the same instance, but I feel I would still get a tickle out of it because I love me some Mr. Falvo. But I've never heard you ring announce.
Really?
No, never. So I'm thinking maybe you could share with the fans. Maybe you could announce me coming down from the ring, coming down to the ring. You could call me whatever you want. You're going to get a tickle out of this, my friend. My weight is 128 pounds. And I hail from DK Wasteland. So those are my stats, where I come from.
DK Wasteland.
Yes, the DK Wasteland, baby. We don't mess around. So do you think maybe we could get a little announcer, Mr. Falvo? Give us some of his pipes, if you will.
I would love to.
Yes.
See, but now I gotta stand up. I can't.
That's okay.
I can't announce sitting. I've never been able to. I gotta stand up. So DK Wasteland, 128 pounds.
Yes.
Again, just clarifying my info, making sure it's all correct.
Yes.
All right. I don't know if I'm trying to come up with a.
That's okay. I'll
family-friendly. All right.
I'll filibuster.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah, go. Boys and girls.
Coming down the aisle from the DK Wasteland, weighing in at 128 pounds, Don Kincaid.
Yeah. Woo. Mr. Falvo, that was beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Boys and girls, if you don't ask, you don't know. You're either going to get a yes or you're going to get a no. Mr. Falvo, this has been amazing. I thank you for your time talking to us, the fans, getting to learn more about yourself, and I really do appreciate it. And I can't wait for number 3. We're gonna
I can't wait either.
Wait 8 months. Maybe we won't wait 8 months.
I hope not. I really hope not. Before we go,
yes,
I do want to mention.
Plug away.
I do want to plug a few things. If you're not following me on social media, you can find me at Mike A. Falvo. I'm on Facebook. If you're friends with Don and you don't want to, really bother looking at my name, you can find me on Don's Facebook page. But also, check out the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. They're located at prowrestlinghall.org.
We forgot to talk about that.
That's all right. See, that's why I'm plugging it now, Don.
Oh, okay.
I'm plugging it now. Prowrestlinghall.org. On Twitter, we are at IPWHF. All other forms of social media, we are at Pro Wrestling Hall. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're on TikTok. Not so much. We haven't really done much with TikTok, but that's going to change. I also want to give a quick plug that this coming August, we're inaugurating our inaugural class. 24 folks were announced. If you want more information on that, you can go to our website, prowrestlinghall.org. There's induction information. We're going to have hotel information, ticket information, all that stuff coming up in the coming weeks. Sign up for the newsletter. You can also make a tax-deductible donation to the hall. All that information is on the webpage. But the next time we talk, Don, we'll talk.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
Because I know your talent within the Hall of Fame is going to start building, and I want to talk. We have to talk about that.
Oh, we will. Yes. We will. But you can find me on social media. Yeah, you can find me on social media, like I said, at Mike A. Falvo. And if you're looking for a voice for an event, whether it be basketball, football, wrestling, mixed martial arts, boxing, whatever, shoot me an email at mike.falvo@outlook.com. Don, no Richard picks, buddy. Please.
And there's one thing that we did not plug that I want to touch upon right before I let you go. Mm-hmm. There's a new wrestling organization that's starting. It's coming out April 2021. Please, real quick, what are we talking?
Northern Federation Wrestling. We're going to be doing shows in New Jersey. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And I'm getting another phone call. Stand by.
That's okay. That's okay.
It is going to be absolutely fantastic. You know, we're getting a lot of the top talent in the Northeast are going to be going down there. I mean, we're talking guys like Sean Carr, Nick, just a lot of guys are going to be making their way down there, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic. But we'll talk more about that the next time we link up.
Yes, we're going to have so much to talk about. I cannot wait.
Yes, sir.
This has been Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, one Mike Falvo. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, sir.